Information is power.
Information Man TV. Information Man TV. I got my man Lions Den with me too, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Information is power. Tell the truth.
Turn your TV on, ladies and gentlemen. Information Man TV. Get your favorite snack, your drink and beverage, and get ready for Information Man TV. The question mark is what is happening in our world today. That's the question mark. Yeah. All around the world. Broadcasting all around the world. Broadcasting all around the world, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, 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 woo. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Information Man TV. Welcome. We're back at it again. I hope that this works this time around. My man and I, Lions Den, were trying to broadcast at least not once, not twice, but 3 times a lady last night, and things just wasn't working. There was some technical issues going on. Then there was a few issues with my computer systems when I had to reboot everything over again. But there was some issues going on because Haps TV or Haps app is a great platform, but it is in the beta stage. So even through the frustration, I still had to realize that they're still improving this. It's not at the finish stage, it's at the beta stage. So we're going to get back at it. We got a lot of things to talk about tonight. We're going to get right to the point. I'm going to bring my man Lions Den back on as best as I can. And I'm in the set here in the studio, and we're going to make it do what we make it do, folks. Let me do something real quick. I hope everybody out there is having a fine evening. Once again, I'm on the Haps doing our thing right now. And here we go. Nice little banner by way of Haps. And once again, like I said, I'm in the studio. And I'm glad to be here in the studio. And let's get over to Lions Den right now. I'm going to bring him right on in. Hopefully everything goes well tonight, that there's no problems tonight. And looks like Lions Den is nowhere in there. So hopefully he will come on back in. I will have to send him another link to bring him back in. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's coming in back in right now. Hopefully. Okay, there he is. Lions Den, you are here, brother. We're having a lot of technical problems that we didn't have before when I've had you on here. Let me plug you up and bring you on the screen right now. And there you are. And boom, 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 boom. Let's get it going, brother. How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Doing fine, man. You had dropped off a little bit. Did the system drop you out, or did something happen?
I think it's something's frozen. I think on Hap's side it's been frozen.
Yeah. This is
log off and turn back on.
Right. It makes it really difficult. So let's get right at it. Yesterday, because I got a couple other issues that I want to talk to you about that's happening in the news right now. We know that Andrew the governor of New York, Cuomo. I got a video that I'm gonna play for everybody. We know that he's in a lot of trouble right now. They had a committee meeting in Washington, D.C. today talking about the presence of the white supremacists or the white nationalist organizations in this country. They're saying it's at the thousands and it's growing and growing. Right? The FBI has been watching this, and the question is, why haven't they done anything about these groups? We know that historically, when it came to black organizations that they deemed a threat, like the Black Panther Party, that they did everything they could to eliminate the Black Panther Party, which was a party not about violence. It was a party that was about trying to protect the community, right? You've got they said in a meeting today that many of the people that were up there in that breach or that riot in Washington, D.C. on January 6th were very laden in people that are part of these white nationalist groups. So I'm going to play a little video of that as well. We're going to get back to the subject yesterday that we were trying to do, which is the post office. And you know what I was saying? The post office has been taken under siege by Louis DeJoy, if I'm correct. And he was appointed by Donald Trump, in many cases, to sabotage the postal service. People are complaining about packages are coming late. Everything is happening very slow. But this man came in and got rid of machines, just gutted things out. You've been working in the postal service. Let people know who you are. You're on social media as well. You're a social media personality. And what has been your experience working in the post office? Right now, you're in New Mexico doing work out there in the post office. Go right ahead, brother. You have the floor.
Yeah, I've been working in the postal service for 23 years, and like I was saying yesterday, that working there is, it's really a great job to have. So when you have a man named Louis DeJoy, who's Trump appointed,
Mm-hmm.
Louis DeJoy was a millionaire. So you got to understand that Trump, all the appointees that Trump hired in the past 4 years has been millionaires. So Louis DeJoy is one of them. And he's never been in the postal service. He never been experienced as a manager or a postal worker himself. But Trump just really appointed him in as a basically as the postmaster general. But here's the thing, Info, and I mean, when it comes to prior to the elections, you know, Louis DeJoy has basically tried to stop, what come to absentee ballots, mail-in ballots. They try to shut down all the postal machines, making sure the ballots go through correctly. So he's trying to do what Trump wanted this man to do, and try to stop them from even having a fair election. And in my opinion, he is not a good, postmaster general. I know I wasn't supposed to do that because I'm still as a postal worker as it is, but the thing of it is that he's really is a problem. And again, like I said yesterday, Info, if it wasn't for the unions that protected our jobs and protected our welfare, some of us wouldn't even be here today. And I know some people have retired because of Louis
Yes.
DeJoy.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit about the post office? What's going on? What have you seen from your experience firsthand when it comes to machines being taken out? What do you think is the problem? Give us your perspective.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say about this. I think the problem is not the machines. It's the person who built the machines, actually, because obviously you have. I mean, some of the machines that are working right now, that are working perfectly, have no problems at all. But the fact is that when a person try to remove the machines, and the machines is working, it ain't like that. You just see a machine and try to say having issues with the machines left and
Right.
right. But the thing of it is, machine is working. The problem we have is the people that runs the postal service. For example, like I said, Louis DeJoy, who's the postmaster general, he was the one that wants these machines removed. Not any other managers, not no MDOs, not no plant managers across the country. It's Louis DeJoy himself, and he's been orchestrated by Trump by trying to remove all the machines, and not let people get the mail, get the packages on time. So that's basically the issue, is him. And unless the Biden administration will try to get this man under control, he's still going to do what he's going to do, and that's going to mess, the postal facilities up. And I know some people have, like I say, been retired or lose their pensions
Mm-hmm.
because of Louis DeJoy. And so the thing of it is that some of us are doing
Tell
okay,
the truth.
but they could have done better. But see, Louis DeJoy ain't doing a thing about improving the postal service. All he do is try to destroy completely.
Now they had a committee meeting just this past week in which he was once again asked questions about why is the post office having problems getting out mail and packages to customers across this country. And remember, the post office is one of the oldest federal institutions in this country. It's also one of the biggest institutions in terms of employing black people. A lot of black people were able to move themselves into the middle class in this country through federal and state jobs. Okay, so the question is, if you hurt the U.S. Postal Office, black people who are highly employed in the postal services, it's gonna hurt real bad economically. We know the Republicans have been trying for the longest to privatize the postal service. See, the postal service has got money. They've got, I think you probably know this better than I do, that they got some billions. And you got the Republicans that want to get their hands on that money that the Postal Service has as a resource. The Republicans are about privatizing a lot of things. Remember, they wanted to privatize Social Security. And back in 2008, 2009, when we had the real bad recession, if George Bush Jr. or Sr., both him and his father, if they had got their way and privatized Social Security, man, it would be like 1930. People would have lost their shirts. All their retirement money would have went up in smoke, because the Wall Street is nothing but a big giant gambling casino. So he said that he wasn't going to go anywhere. And as I said yesterday, before we kept getting cut off here, I always thought that the president had complete cold blanche power to fire anybody. And the reason why is because we saw Donald Trump fire anybody he wanted at any time for any reason. And I didn't know that he can't get rid of the postmaster. The postmaster has to be gotten rid of by those on the committee. And you saw Cori Bush this week say that it looked like a rich white boys club. There's no diversity on that panel. So it looks like Joe Biden is deciding that he's going to mix that board up with putting some more liberal leaning folks on there with the goal to get rid of DeJoy off his leadership of the postal services. And this is another question I have to ask you. What is usually the requirements to become a postal master, to be the top guy? What's the requirements?
Well, the requirements is that the person has to be inexperienced. They have to be in the postal service for a lot of years. They have to know everything about how the mail is run, how the machines are running. You have to. It's got to be a lot of experience. You have to deal with management, have to deal with the union, how it works out. So the thing of it is that when it comes to all the years that we have postmaster generals, they have to be in the postal service. For years, they have to know everything about what's going on in the postal service. You just cannot just get hired because you know somebody on the inside, or know the presidency, or know someone in Congress. It doesn't work like that. So for Trump doing what he did, hire Louis DeJoy, and again, the reason why he's hiring him is because he's a millionaire. He's a millionaire like him. So when you like, it's like all like DeVos, who's the educational secretary, she's a millionaire. So all the people that Trump hired are millionaires. Have been experienced, have not been experienced in that position, but Trump just literally just hired them because they know him personally, and they got and they're millionaires themselves. So with Louis DeJoy, I think that luckily that we basically got the ballots out on time. There's no problems there. But the fact of the matter is that when they hired Louis DeJoy as the Postmaster General, this guy is completely wants to destroy the Postal Service. And guess what, Info? You know,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The thing of it is that you have competitions like FedEx, UPS, and others. And some don't want to deal with that. We're the only facility, the post office is the only facility that would deliver mail, that would deliver packages where FedEx and UPS don't want to do it. So we have to take care of, do have to be responsible to take care of the packages and make sure they came on time. And so that's what Trump's trying to do. They try to privatize the postal service because they want to fare with UPS and FedEx. That's all.
Right.
They got companies where the postal service was delivering on time.
Let me say shout out to Drew that's come in the house saying hello from Dallas. We're all over the world. This program is being broadcast all over the world in America. And thank you for coming on over and watching the program. We really appreciate that. We were having some problems last night, some technical issues with HAPS, and it looks like it's sustaining itself tonight. So I'm very happy. Maybe what I did last night, rebooting my computer, cleaning a few things out, is helping the broadcast right now. Lions Den, you're absolutely correct. Most postmasters are people who have had experience working in the Postal Service. There are people who come right up from the grassroots of the Postal Service. And let me say this to you right now, as we have Back to the Basics on in the out there listening. I may, if not bring her on the panel, I could plug her in through the phone if she wants to join us as well. By just calling her into the show. This is what I want to read to you, because I mentioned earlier, Lions Den, that Black people, the post office has been very synonymous with our community. I'm reading here in truthout.org. Black families have a major stake in the Postal Service future. Let me read on. The United States Postal Service is under strong pressure to make deep spending cuts that would be disastrous for customers and employees across the country. Black families have a particular large stake in the debate over the future of this vital public service. The USPS, which is the U.S. Postal Service, has long been a major source of good middle class. Like I said, folks, I don't make stuff up. Of the good middle class jobs for Black workers. Post officers are also well positioned to address the needs of the disproportionate share of African Americans who currently lack access to affordable financial services. Post jobs have long been a road to the middle class for African Americans. The Postal Service began employing African Americans shortly after the Civil War. It became a major source of good middle-class jobs for African Americans in the early 20th century. During the 1940s, the civil rights advocates combined with wartime needs created even more opportunity for Black postal workers. I'm telling the damn truth here.
Tell the truth.
This is why this is the Information Man Show with Lions Den. Me and his brother go a long way, folks. We've been on blog. Lions Den had a blog radio program. I was his right-hand man on there. Lions Den has a YouTube channel. Lions Den is on stereo. He's podcasting. We're going to have you let everybody know where they can find you at, Lions Den. But let me continue on here. Combined with wartime needs, creating even more opportunity for Black postal workers by the mid-1960s, after America leadership had increased significantly with three biggest post offices in the country. These are the three biggest post offices that were issued in the country, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of this country: New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. And what's significant about those three places? You got Black populations in those three major cities. Headed by Black postmaster by the end of the 20th century, African Americans, so there was a Black postmaster at one point in time. African Americans comprised 21% of all United States postal employees. So you see why this situation is hitting our community very hard. In 2020, black workers made up nearly a quarter of the postal service. Damn, I got to do a podcast out of this too on my podcasting platform. This is great stuff. Postal service workforce, more than double their share of the total United States labor force, according to Institution for Policy Studies, Analysis, and Bureau of Labor Statistics data. Postal workers have been the highest average annual wage of $51,740 and the highest medium hourly wage of $25.03 an hour among the 10 occupations with the heaviest representation of black workers. 4 of those 10 occupations have medium hourly wages below 15 per hour. Of the 10 most heavily African-American occupations, the Postal Service employed the 5th largest number of workers. This is facts. This is the truth. So therefore,
I want to add something.
Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the Postal Service is the only company, and I'm being honest with you, it's the only company that accept, black managers, MDOs, supervisors that don't even have a college degree.
The truth.
Right.
So it shows you, and then the Postal Service are making a lot more for African American workers. So it shows you how successful the Postal Service were in the past couple of years, decades.
Right. We got Mr. Goldman. Mr. Goldman in the house. He's one of the major investors of the HAPS. So he's one of the brainchild behind the HAPS. I want to say shout out to him. Thank him for coming on in. One of the things that's great about this platform is that you get the people who have actually put this whole thing together, who come into your chat room and at least show appreciation for what you're doing. So let me put his statement on the board here. I want to shout out to him because I know that they are working hard behind the scenes to try to improve this platform. We were having a hard time yesterday, Mr. Goldman. We were having a hard time yesterday broadcasting, so we had to cancel it and come back today. But I know that this is in the beta stage, which means that you're trying to improve it. Totally understandable. Me and Lions Den, we made our bones in podcasting, and we're both big. We're both YouTubers. We've come over here to utilize this platform because it gives us the ability to get our stuff out to many, many places. So I really appreciate that, sir, and appreciate you creating this platform that allows people like ourselves to get information out. So thank you for coming on over. He gave us a high five, which I appreciate that too. Yeah, Goodman is he's one of the and big investors of this platform. So what I'm doing on this show is I'm doing a news program. We talk about everything on my program: political issues, social issues, cultural issues. We'll talk about some things that can be a little uncomfortable for people to deal with, but it's the things that we do to bring forth information. We're going to cite sources. Now, the source that I'm going to cite again is from truthout.org. You can check truthout.org. They have great sources, great writers over there. And Lions Den, just in reading over this for myself, there were things that I knew, but I just learned something going over this document that I didn't know about the post office. Is there anything else you want to add to this particular segment that we're talking about on the show? Because you were in DC working for the post office, and I really want you to tell your experience. While you were in the post office, did you experience anything like machines being taken away, anything that was sort of suspicious that make you scratch your head as someone that was employed there in DC? You're still with the postal office now. Did you see anything that made you scratch your head at times?
Well, I work at different facilities in DC and in Maryland.
Okay.
So I was, seeing things that I've been hired. Let me start over with this. Mm-hmm. I started hired at the post office. That's after the anthrax attack. It's way after the anthrax attack happened in Brentwood, which is the main headquarters in Washington D.C. And the thing of it is that all the years has been changing. Management's been changing throughout the years that I've been there. And then I worked once again in
Mm-hmm.
Southern Maryland, which is in Prince George's County, which is like in Capitol Heights. For those of you who live in the DMV, you already know where the location is. When I was working there, I saw a lot of machines been removed, been taken
Mm-hmm.
away from.
Yes.
There's been machines been moving from this facility to another part of of the county of Montgomery County.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much and people moving from place to place. So it's been a lot of changes, and you got to shake your head and say, well, what's going on? And the people that was working there, some of the people that work there still work there now. They said that they've been having issues. I mean, they've been having issues with the machines for years, and they're trying to fix it. But it's like, we're trying to remove the machine, try to fix it. They try to put another machine in there, but it made it even worse. So it
Mm-hmm.
seems to me that it's showing that all the machines that clerks, postal clerks been working, and shouts out to the postal clerks, and the APWU, which is the American Postal Workers Union. They're doing an excellent job and try to make sure that all the postal workers, the clerks, are doing, or make sure they're safe and whatnot. Same as the mail handlers union. Shouts out to them as well. But the thing of it is that we've been seeing a lot of changes, and and all the machines that was working was removed, and people didn't understand why it was removed. So I think the thing is that it's not just management that we concerned about, is who's the head of the post office, which is the postmaster general. And again, once they hire Louis DeJoy, I already knew right then and there we're in serious trouble, because again, with the union, and like I said, shouts out with the APWU
Mm-hmm.
and the mail handlers union. They are fighting to keep our jobs. They were fighting to make sure that nothing happens to us, because there are some issues that people didn't want to talk about, but they want to remove people out of the postal service.
Right.
They are, because to me, as me personally, I'm a transfer, but I can easily be removed like that because I don't have seniority. Because you have to have seniority to get the positions you really want, and that's what the post office is as well. You got to have seniority. How many years you've been in there? How many time and a half you've been in there? So it takes a lot of work that us postal workers have to go through each and every day.
Well, let me say something, because we got to be fair about this too. And Mr. Goldman, Mark Goldman, who is the investor in HAPS, he said, that's awesome. We really appreciate you guys understanding that we're growing, we're having growing pains, and you're sticking with us. Yeah, I totally get it. It is a little frustrating. Like last night when we tried to go live a couple of times, it does get you kind of frustrated. But once again, we both realize that it's a growing app. It's going to go through growing pains, and it's going to improve itself. And we just got to be, and then what we did, we just said, hey, we can't do it. We couldn't do it last night when we tried a couple of times. So we just decided, let's try it again today, right? We didn't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Lionsden, this is what I wanted to say. I have to be honest with you. The post office needs, like anything, needs improvement. Workers need to have better work environment, better work conditions, better training, better equipment. We do know that the post office has a great sum of money, which, like I said earlier, one of the reasons why they've been wanting to privatize the U.S. Postal Office, because they want to get to that money. It always comes down to the money.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think that it does need improvement, because there's a lot of competition out there. You got Express, you got people getting things to UPS, the guys in brown. People are using there's various competition out there, but the Postal Service has been with our country since the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of the culture. I'm hoping that it does well, because just as I read a few minutes ago, Black people in America, we have a lot invested in the postal office, because, as I said, there was the Postal Service, which was the job that we were able to get that helped to contribute to the Black middle class in this country. And this saying, you know the old saying that we say in our community that I'm about to say to you. What did the old folks always say? There's always work where?
In the post office.
There's always work in the post office.
Tell the truth.
And that was a model because there were other places that we could not get employment or opportunity. And that's why I don't want to see it go. And I don't want to see anybody sabotage it, but I want to see the government improve it and don't dismantle it. You know, because think about it. They're providing, even though we may complain and say, hey, my packages are late or that they have these problems or those problems. Remember, the post office is being getting sabotaged. Not only that, they're sending you something to your house that you don't have to pay a fee for. I could now, I mean, yeah. You put a stamp. Okay, a stamp is what? What are stamps now? They're what? 25, what are they? 50? I'm getting old here. Stamps are about what? How much are stamps now? One stamp.
I think the stamps is, I mean, my mistake is like the stamps are like 53 cents now.
Yeah, for one stamp. Cents. So you put 50, you go out and you pay 53 cents for one stamp. That's not a lot of money compared to what you could pay in other places. And if you got bigger packages, yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more per the pound. But then I spent about, and I'm kind of old school, and people are going to laugh at me. They're going to laugh at me right now. And the reason why people are going to laugh at me, because I still mail off certain things the old-fashioned way. Yes, I have some bills that come out as an automatic pay, but then there's some stuff that I still put the stuff in the envelope. I still lick the envelope and put the stamp on there. And I know there's people out there that'll say, man, this guy is out of date. This is funny. Who still mails out letters with a stamp? What are you talking about? We got internet. We got social medias like Hap. What are you doing, man? You're a dinosaur. No, I still mail things out. I still use stamps, even though that could be funny to some folks who don't use stamps anymore. I still use them for some things. There's some things I'm still old school about. So, I think I really thank you for having this conversation with me about this, my man. Go ahead, Lions Den.
No, I was going to say that I think that, like you said, it's competition, and we're trying to do the best we can. And most postal workers has been there a lot longer than myself. Mm-hmm. And they put all the time and effort and the blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that the mails deliver right, the packages deliver right. Because again, like you said, we have to deal with the competition like FedEx and UPS. Right. And I think that what we're doing as postal workers is that we're trying to do right. We try to do our best we can. There's going to be some issues, but at least once we work together, once we have together in unity, and this is what the postal workers do, we always go in unity. And it's like a family. It's like if one person goes down, people just got back up and get the mail out just in the time. And and that's the thing that we as postal workers have to deal with. And by the way, once we come together as one, and I think that the post office will do well. But and like, for example, in the Christmas holidays, sometimes you have FedEx and UPS refusing to even send their packages out on time. Well, right. we as the post office always send packages on time. It doesn't matter how late it was. We always send it to the customers. Even though the FedEx and UPS won't refuse to do it, but we have to do it because that's our jobs to do it. And that's what I'm saying. And that's how we work. That's how we operate.
Okay. I appreciate those statements. Let me say peace to D Sounds. If I'm saying that right, D Sounds is saying hello from
Manila. She's from the Philippines.
She's from the Philippines. See, we're from the Philippines. I had put her message on the thank you for being here from the Philippines. Like I said, we're broadcasting worldwide. This is Information Man TV on HAPS, broadcasting worldwide. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to the program on HAPS. Now, I'm a YouTuber. Lionsden's a YouTuber. My YouTube channel is Information Man Show. I'm a little bit more raw over there on that program, a little bit more well-known within the YouTube streets. But now I'm utilizing this platform to do a different format of shows specifically tailored to HAPS TV. So I thank you for coming over. And then we have my man Oh, this is the guy right here, Lions Den. He does an incredible puppet show. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. He he does the puppet show stuff. This is Mr. Foreman.
Oh,
Foreman. I'm not saying
okay.
I'm bad with names as a mother, you know what. But he does a puppet show. Last time I was talking to Back to the Basics, and I was telling her about his puppet show. And I think that I said, hey, I think his show is ready for prime time. He's camera ready. Fantastic. Matter of fact, I got to talk to him to see if I can get him to make a little puppet animate of myself that I could use as the intro to the show. Because I was telling Back to the Basics, hey, it would be cool to have like a little puppet image of yourself.
Wow.
As an intro to a show or in a, something really cool that make people laugh and make people, giggle and things of that nature,
Right.
So let me
she said,
pull something back. A puppet image of yourself. Go ahead and read what they're saying.
No, I was saying that D Sound says, yes, sir. Manila, Philippines, trying to catch up with the topic. So
okay.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the program. Let me fix something on my audio here. And like I said, his program makes you laugh. It's exciting. And let me put that message back on the screen. And let me see right here. Let me see what we have here. She says, we'll definitely subscribe to you guys, newbies here in the Haps TV. Okay, definitely. Check out my YouTube channel, The Information Man Show. If you go into my page on Haps, it has the area where everyone has their social media on there. And you can follow me on all the social media that I'm on as well. I appreciate you checking this out. It's a fantastic platform. Oh, thank you, Back to the Basics. Back to the Basics. Let me know if you want in on the discussion tonight. I could bring you in through the phone if you like, whatever works for you. Just let me know in the chat room. But let me bring up something right now. This is the big story that's going on. I did a podcast about this today. Have you heard about Coca-Cola's sensitivity training, where they're saying to their white employees that if you're less white, you'll be less racist? And they caught a lot of criticism for this because of the way they put it out, the way they handled it. And so there were obviously there were white people that weren't happy with that sort of framing. And I did a podcast about that. I talked about it it's on Google. I'm on everything. You know what I just found out, Lions Den, is I just found out today, and let me ask you, are you on Amazon Music? They have a podcasting section. I just discovered myself on there today.
No, I mean, I heard about Amazon Music, but I didn't know they're doing a podcast over there.
Yeah, they have a section for podcasting, and I just discovered myself on there. We're both on a lot of stuff that you don't even know that you're on, because once your podcast gets distributed to different platforms, smaller platforms will pick it up as well. So, right. And then when I looked at my analytics today, I've got a lot of people listening to me in South Carolina on my podcast. Wow. And throughout the country, in India and Brazil. I was like, whoa, it's my podcast is separate from what I'm doing here because it's the radio style one, but it's a lot of people listening. And so that's why these mediums are powerful.
Wow.
And every now and then I'm going to broadcast my podcast into Haps while I'm going live on Spreaker or something like that. So let everybody know exactly about yourself and your presence on social media, Lions Den. Go right ahead. But I just wanted to bring that up. I want you to look into that story about Coca-Cola, and I want everybody listening to look into the Coca-Cola story. Pull it up on your social media, because I understand that education is important, right? People need to understand that there are people in our society who do have advantages based on race, economics, background, history, various things of that nature. That's a fact. You can't argue that. And thank you for putting in social media in there. Back to the basics. And back to the basics. You should be a moderator. I think I got you as a moderator in here anyway. So that's a story I want you to look at, Lions Den, because you might want to do something, talk about that yourself on your channel. But let everybody know where they can find you, the podcast, everything that you're on right now.
Yeah, y'all can check me out. Y'all can follow me on my Twitter. It's the real Lions Den. You can follow me on my Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Real Lions Den. You can add me on my Instagram at www.instagram.com/the_real_lions_den2. You can add me on Snapchat at LionsDen39. And also you can check me out on Anchor. I'm on Anchor. You can check out my podcast there. It's called Roar on Your Podcast with Lions Den. You can check it out on Anchor and Spotify, Apple iTunes, and Google Play. And I'm also on Station Head. So I'm doing shows on Station Head every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Mountain Time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Pacific. And then, like you said, like Info said, I'm on stereo as well. So I'm everywhere.
Right. And let me say to D Sounds that's in the chat room that I have subscribed to your Haps channel, and I'll subscribe to any of your social medias that you're on as well. That's one thing that's good about this community too, Lions Den, is that everybody is kind of like helping each other. Everybody's supporting each other, and that's fantastic. Let me see, Lions Den. The other story. Let's play this. What is your thoughts before I play this video? Well, let me play the video first and then get your thoughts. That would make more sense. So let me mute you real quick just so there's no back sound. And let's play the video.
New calls for resignation after a third woman has come forward. We haven't heard from Governor Cuomo in almost a week. He's released a number of statements defending himself against those allegations from two former aides. But now this latest accuser says he left her feeling confused, embarrassed, and shocked. Anna Rook telling the New York Times the governor tried to kiss her at a New York City wedding reception in 2019, and then sharing this photograph she says was captured on her cell phone that night by a friend. According to the paper, Mr. Cuomo put his hand on Miss Rook's bare lower back. When she removed his hand with her own, the governor remarked that she seemed aggressive and placed his hands on her cheeks. He asked if he could kiss her. This comes after two former aides, Charlotte Bennett and Lindsey Boylan, accused the governor of sexual harassment at work. Bennett telling her story to the New York Times over the weekend, alleging that last spring, Cuomo made it clear to her he wanted to sleep with her.
She alleges that the governor asked her direct questions about her sex life, whether or not she was monogamous in her relationships, whether or not she had ever slept with an older man.
The governor denying Bennett's allegations, releasing a statement Sunday saying that his words have been misinterpreted as an unwanted flirtation and that he was trying to be playful and funny. Bennett saying Cuomo has refused to acknowledge or take responsibility for his predatory behavior. New York Attorney General Letitia James will now oversee an independent investigation with subpoena power into the sexual harassment allegations.
Okay, Lions Den, let me put you on the screen front and center because I had some technical problems. Let me put you front and center right now, brother. So, Lions Den, you might want to come down a little bit because people are just seeing your lips and your nose. Come down just a little bit because you're like in the landscape. So bring yourself down a little bit. Let me unmute you. All right, brother. So this is what I'm going to do. Let me just do this then. Let me just put us together like this. Let me put us together like this. Boom. So basically, I'm having some technical problems. While we're talking, I'm going to try to see if I can reboot my special effects and all that good stuff. Haps threw me out. Then I reloaded it. Now I'm back on with you. These are the things that give you frustration. But Andrew Cuomo, while you are talking and giving your opinion about it, go ahead and give your opinion to everyone that's listening while I see if I can rework my special effects. Go right ahead, my brother.
Okay. Well, you heard of Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, has now been accused of sexual harassment through, I believe, 4 women already. And in my opinion, this isn't good. This is not good. And the thing of it is that they probably might now you see that there's an independent investigation is going on. Um, I mean, with according to the New York Attorney General, so she's investigating all the charges that's been accused by Governor Andrew Cuomo, and it looks to me that if it's getting worse for Andrew Cuomo, looks to me that they probably might push him to resign, and because this is a very serious charges, and it's like they say that multiple women is not now coming out saying that Andrew Cuomo harassed them. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it basically showing that the governor of New York is in hot water, and I mean, of course, there's going to be an investigation, but it looks to me this is not good for the governor of New York.
Right. Right. It's not good for the governor of New York whatsoever. Having some problems. Do you think that he did it, Lions Den? Do you think that he's being accused of? I saw some pictures today. And matter of fact, one of the females that I think is accusing him is someone that has been involved in the Biden administration, where he's got his hands on her face. You saw that in the picture, in the video.
Yeah.
I think and then he's touching hips. This is a married man. There's rumors that he made threats that if you don't do what I want you to do and you report this and that, you'll never work again in New York. There are some that are saying that he's acting and behaving like a mob boss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he has a brother, I think Chris Cuomo, who's on CNN. I noticed that one of the things I've been noticing about his brother, which shows you that journalism in this country is going to the all-time bottom, is that his brother gets on CNN every night talking about everything that's controversial, right? And he questions everything. Right. But I think they're purposely not allowing him to report on his brother because of the conflict, meaning that's his brother. So why would he want to, let's be honest, why would he want to realistically talk about his brother in a negative way when that could ultimately hurt his brothers? Right? Mm-hmm. But if you're going to call yourself a journalist, a reporter on the news, then technically you can't escape from reporting even when it comes to your own family member. Now, they're probably telling him, well, we don't want you to talk about your brother because we know it's going to be hard for you. We know we don't want you to criticize your own brother live on television. So we'll have Don Lemon do it. We'll have Lemonhead do it. Right? We won't have you. Yeah. We won't have you talk about that. So in a way, they're protecting Chris Cuomo. But I call hypocrisy on that because this man talks about everybody in politics that's doing wrong. So like I got to be fair. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. But if you're going to talk about Donald Trump and his mishaps, or if you're going to talk about Joe Biden's mishaps, then how can you're in a prime time position to report every night. Mm-hmm. 6 o'clock Western time, about 8 o'clock Central time, and 9 o'clock Eastern time, and you ain't even talking about your brother. Mm. And I know why, because no family member wants to be in that situation. But I agree with that, but you're still a part of the news.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What is your thoughts about that? What is your thoughts?
I think the problem is that, I mean, if you were a journalist, and even if as a personality like you and me, no matter if it's your family member or someone you know, you have to tell the truth. You have to tell the truth. You have to tell the facts of what's going on. Unfortunately, what CNN is trying to do with Chris Cuomo is to silence his situation with his brother, the governor. And obviously that I guess he didn't want to talk about it because it's personal to him. And but just like you said, if you're a journalist, if you're an anchor, you have to tell the public what's going on, regardless if it's your family member or not. Otherwise, they'll get rid of you. So at the end of the day, this is how it is. But I think what I'm seeing right now, that multiple women are coming out accusing the governor of fondling them, try to kiss them, and try to put hands on their lower back. This is not a good look for the governor at all. And some people who support the governor will say, well, you know, this Republican is a Republican tactic. They doing this try to hurt the governor. But I'm gonna tell you something. If these allegations are true, I'm gonna tell you like this: there's gonna be a lot of pressure for the governor to resign in the state of New York, because one thing in New York I heard is one thing they don't tolerate is stuff like this. They all had respect for each other. The governor Andrew Cuomo had respect for everybody. But if these allegations are true, don't be surprised if the Democratic Party and others, senior people of the Democratic Party, will put pressure to force Governor Cuomo to resign.
Right. I think you are absolutely on the money about that. Let me put Raymond Sims is in the house. He says exactly. So ladies and gentlemen, we're still on. Thank God I'm still on. There was some I got kicked out. Then I reloaded it and I saw that you were still on and the video was playing. And because I got kicked out, I'm trying to reload my special effects and I just can't do it right now, because what's happening is that my other software, I'm not using OBS, but I'm using something else. It's attached to the HAPS. And that from that, I bring in the special effects, but I can't connect my camera in my other software right now for some reason. So therefore, yes, why you're seeing the green screen behind me. I wish I could get the effects back on. It adds to the quality of the show, but we'll move forward because it's really about the information more than anything else. Thanks to all 85 of you that are watching out there. Definitely subscribe to the program. Now, let me play while we're at it. Like I said earlier today, they had a big discussion about the people who breached the Capitol in Washington, D.C. The FBI has reported that the number of people that are part of these hate groups or these white nationalist groups are saying that it's bigger than we think, it's getting more aggressive than we think. And there's a lot of questions. Why did they allow this to get so out of hand? And so let me play this this clip from earlier today. Hang on.
Well, I mean, to ask you, the biggest revelation that you took away from this, is it the 2,000 cases? Is it him admitting how much white supremacist groups are sort of at the top of all of this racially motivated violence? What stood out to you, Pete?
Yeah, not the white supremacist part, because that's been very clear from the beginning as the FBI began to file these charges, and they're now up to well over 200 cases that have been charged. I'm sorry, approaching 300 cases that have been charged and many more under investigation. The 2,000 number was a revelation. That's double what it was a year ago, and that's a huge increase. That's an enormous commitment of manpower. So I think for the FBI director to say, look, we were warning people, expect violence around the election. It could be around the election or something afterwards or the inauguration. And then we had this one specific piece of intelligence from Norfolk about possibility of attacking the Capitol. He did say that it's clear that people were engaged in planning. But Chuck, I have to say, having looked at all the court documents, The FBI says in criminal complaints and in affidavits and in indictments in the sort of narrative section that there were plans to attack the Capitol on January 6th. I have yet to see a specific piece of evidence in any of these charges who was actually talking about storming the Capitol. There was lots of talk about violence in the streets, make members of Congress hear our roar, but I don't think they've yet cracked the code on exactly whose idea this was, when it came, when it was finally formulated, how much of this was a come-as-you-are party, how much of it was people arriving in Washington with the intention of doing exactly what we saw on the 6th. I think that's still a big unresolved question.
So there you have it, Lions Den. Let me go. Let's go right back here and back on the screen. Let me put you back on the screen with me. And here we go. All right. All right. So it kind of cut out there. And let me see how we can do this. So Lions Den, are you still there?
I'm still here.
All right, cool. So, what are your thoughts about that? What you just witnessed?
Well, you remember, Info, that the FBI has been, investigating white supremacist groups in 2006 when they involved in police departments across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also evidence proving that their law enforcement officers were involved in the Capitol Hill riots. So, what we're seeing that, and you and I both know why is now the FBI is basically trying to figure out who's responsible for all of this. We already know who's responsible for all of this. It's basically the leader of the former president, Donald Trump, who orchestrated all of this. And so, he's responsible for the 4 people that were killed in the Capitol Hill riots. Obviously, it shows, and then there's people going like, why would the FBI didn't crack them down? We have to understand too that the FBI also, with reports too, that the FBI is also part of the white supremacist groups. So you have all this going on, and people try to lay low and try to be quiet on all this stuff that's happening. So what we're seeing, Info, is that now the FBI want to do something. The FBI want to crack down who's involved in all of this. They should have been done this.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, I think what's happening is that this is the reality that people don't want to need to deal with. Mm-hmm. I just don't think personally that when you have white people coming together in these type of groups, even today in the hearing, it was very difficult for them to call them terrorists, right? They would say things like, well, some of them are terrorists, but others are not engaging in terrorist activity. So it was very clear to me that they were having a difficult time really defining these groups as domestic terror. I think it was Lindsey Graham, who's a horrible congressman, if I'm not mistaken. He said to them, well, is the Ku Klux Klan a domestic terrorist group? And they had a hard time really trying to define them as such. However, when you look at their long history, yes, they are. But it's kind of hard to see them that way because this country gave the Ku Klux Klan a non-profit status. They've got a 503c status, if I'm saying that correctly.
Right.
This country gave them a status like that. Do you think they would have given that status to the Black Panther Party?
No.
No.
Not at all. In fact, Info, that that they already FBI try to label us as the BIE, which is the Black Identity Extremists.
Well,
there is no such thing as the Black Identity Extremists.
Well, remember when Trump appointed who did he appoint over as the Attorney General, and he got rid of him when this whole thing broke out about Black identity extremists, and there was this whole talk about it and saying, hey, prove that there's such a thing, right? For
Yeah.
For example, historically, the Black Panther Party for defense was never was not as radical as people tried to make them out to be. Matter of fact, the reason why the Black Panther Party doesn't exist is because they were providing a service to the Black community that the larger society wouldn't do. Let's see, the Black Panther Party was involved in some of the first programs, such as food programs, clothing, health care. So you had Black people within the Black Panther Party that were health professionals that were providing shots, immunization shots, and care for the Black community. They had food programs before you even had food programs. Matter of fact, the United States government stole some of their ideas from the Black Panther Party when it came to food programs and things of that nature. Then you had Adam Clayton Powell, who was a Black man, who was a congressman, who passed a bill back in the day to make sure that there was food provided for kids in public schools. So the Black Panther Party really was one of the first organizations to really be really community based. That's why the Black Panther Party does not exist, because they were not happy with the fact that, wow, they're giving them health care. They're empowering them to feel Black and proud about themselves. They're teaching them defense. They're protecting them from the police that are brutalizing them in the community. Once they started doing that and creating their own society, that's when they had to go. It had nothing to do with the guns and the beret hats and the leather jackets. That's the exterior fear that people had. But that's not the reason why the government got rid of them. They were more concerned about what they were doing socially in our community. Now, when you destroy the Black Panther Party and you take them out of the community and you destroy it, then what happens? You leave the community without its protection. Now when you look at some of Black society, you see some of the same problems in some of the poor Black communities, because there's all different types of Black communities who are suffering from not having the services that the Black Panther Party was providing. You know, you got Republicans, you got conservatives that will tell you, don't rely on the government. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and do for yourself. Well, the Black Panther Party was doing that, of everything that they say you should be doing, and they had to get rid of them because they were doing it too damn well.
Right.
And so what they did is they used
the
militancy of the Black Panther Party. They used the pictures with them with guns in their hands and the over-exaggerated militancy to say that's what they are, when that's not exactly what they were. Yes, there were members of the Black Panther Party that went out and took matters into their own hands. That happened. But at the same time, the police were brutalizing Black people. That's why you had riots across this country during the 60s, because people weren't taking it anymore. The police were brutalizing us. They took Dr. King's life in this country. There was a lot of reasons why you had riots in the 60s. It was because of the mistreatment. Black people don't wake up and just say, let's have a riot today. So just like the protests during this past summer, people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. You have the floor, my brother.
Yeah, and don't forget that, you know, people who used to be white supremacists or the KKK, they're part, they're political, they're also in politics, like senators, congressmen, attorney generals are part of the KKK. So basically, they are just as strong as any other organization. And back then, what you said with the Black Panthers, I think that a lot of people didn't understand, you know, in the state of California. Remember, California, you even live in that state, Info, that California was used to be an open carry state. Once the Black Panthers came in the California state house with rifles that were not loaded, then, you know, at that time, Ronald Reagan, who was the governor, has changed all the laws about that. And make it thinking, and then and as they say, he was like the Black Panthers at the time was kind of radical, because they bringing up rifles. They got into the California State House.
Well, what
Go ahead.
happened? Let me get some context to the conversation to what you're saying. You're right about that. They went to the capital of California, Sacramento. This is where I'll go here. They had guns in their hand. They had rifles. At that time in California, you could actually have open carry as long as you didn't have a bullet in the chamber. So they had their guns symbolically. They didn't even get inside the state capitol, Brother Lyons. Then they were simply outside.
Okay.
The police stopped them because they thought they were going to go. It wasn't like what happened in Michigan, where those militia were able to actually get into the Capitol with their weapons and scream at the police and get up in their face. No, what happened was the police in Sacramento actually took the guns away from them. In Michigan, you didn't see any police take guns away from anybody. And when they realized that the guns didn't have a bullet in the chamber, and those guys in Michigan, oh yeah, those Trump supporters in Michigan, they had bullets in their guns. When they checked the guns, they noticed, okay, they don't have bullets in the rifles or the guns. So they're actually following the law. So what did the police do in Sacramento, California? They gave the guns back to the Panthers. And it wasn't the whole Black Panther Party that came down from Oakland. There was only a few of them that came. It was only a dozen or more of them that came down. See, they try to make it sound like, oh, they're going to overthrow us. So they came down, symbolically did that. The police checked their guns and gave it right back to them because they were within the law. Then they decided to get back in their cars and drive back to Oakland, California. When they were driving, they stopped at a gas station in Sacramento to get some food or snacks or whatever on their way back to Oakland. The police were following them, and when the police followed them, you know what they did, Lions Den? Not only did they take their guns, which they had the right to have, unloaded, of course, but they arrested them all and put them in jail. They completely violated their rights. Now, when you look at Michigan, did any of those militia members, the people that were saying, we want the state to be opened up, right? And you had Trump saying that these are great Americans. You know, he was saying, take back your state. So once again, Donald Trump was priming the pump, even with that issue. And so did you see any of those militia members get their guns taken from them, get arrested, or anything?
No, and it made it even worse. They once threatened the governor of Michigan, and it was upset because they refused to even allow the governor of Michigan at that time to, try to shut down their state to protect them from COVID-19. And then you notice that some militia people didn't even wear masks. So that shows you right there that how radical they are, and how, I'm surprised that the governor and their remember one of the Michigan State congresswoman was a Black congresswoman at the time, was threatened by those groups. So they had to have as I said, NFAC escort her back and forth to the Michigan State Capitol.
Well, well, let's go right back, because I did a story about this on the YouTube channel. She hired the people that were those Black people that you saw. I did a video on that, Lions Den. Those Black people that you saw escorting her, who had their arms, I don't think they were a part of the NFFC. I think they were just people in the state of Michigan who believed in, being trained in arms, that she hired. I think they were an organization that she hired to protect her. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not a part of the NFCC. They might have been, but at that time, they never promoted themselves. Matter of fact, on my video on YouTube, when they interviewed one of the guys that was one of her escorts, he didn't say that he was a part of any organization. He said, we're just concerned citizens. We're concerned citizens here in Michigan, and we want to protect our state senator. So they simply was, I don't think they were a member of any outfit. Now, that could have changed. That could have changed by now. Who knows? They might be a part of something now. But at that time, they took the initiative because she took the initiative to get support. It wasn't the state capital of Michigan that said, hey, we're going to hire bodyguards for you. She went about it and did it herself. So you're absolutely right. And so that's what took place. And what we're saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that it's a double standard. It's just that simple. It's a double standard. Now, the next segment that I want to go into before we conclude is I want to get your opinion on Governor Greg Abbott. He's now rescinded the mask restriction in Texas, and he's not only restricted the mask restriction, but he said it's open seas, open everything back up, go back to normal functioning. I want all businesses open. I want everything open. What is your now let me just put some context on this. I think that the small businesses are hurting in this situation because they have not been able to operate while these corporations are operating and making money. So I do have a heart and a feeling for people who have small businesses who desperately need to operate their business. I'm for that, right? But this is a man who wants to reopen Texas after they've had this bad snow situation, and maybe he's doing it for economic reasons because of what happened with the snow. But once again, here is a state in Texas. This is no disrespect to anybody out there listening that's from Texas, but here we have a state that continues to want to buck the system, that continues to want to do its own thing to the point where it doesn't follow any federal guidelines. They didn't want their own energy. They didn't want an energy system coming from the government. They created their own energy system, and it failed them miserably. Now, let's say that when he opens everything back up, let's say that the virus spikes up very heavily in Texas. Then what, Lions Den? Go ahead.
You know that I saw that article. I saw the reports on Facebook and on Twitter about what Governor Greg Abbott has done, and I'm very concerned of the millions of Texans that lives down there, because, like you said, it's bad enough they had to recover through a major snowstorm in parts of Dallas and in Houston,
right?
And now the Governor Greg Abbott wants to reopen the state, wants to abolish the mask mandate. It's going to probably affect millions of Texans dealing with COVID-19, and we already feeling the mutation now with the UK mutation and other South African mutations of COVID-19. He's want to ban the mask mandate and reopen the state. I mean, it's going to affect only hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of Texans down there. And this is what the conservatives is doing, Info, that some conservative governors is saying, oh, well, there's no COVID-19 in my state. I just want to reopen. And sometimes there's people, conservatives, that did not like being, of course, being quarantined. So they probably will tell the governor, oh, well, I don't like when they have to go quarantine us, that we have to stay in the house. We have a right to do blah, 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 blah. And we got to get our mask mandate. I don't have to wear my mask if I don't want to. And they listen to, the governor listen to everybody what they say, and this is what happens. But I'm telling you, Info, it's going to be a disastrous. Now, he made a serious mistake and even decided to do this because it's going to affect millions of Texans.
Right. Well, let me say this. This is where I may have a little bit difference of opinion in you. I think that he should not get rid of the mask mandate. I think it's just this simple. It's just this. Well, maybe we're not too far off. It's just this simple. This is what I do. What everybody should do. Look, man. Look, everybody. When you go into a public place where there's going to be a lot of people, just put a damn mask on. Then when you leave that public place, take your damn mask off. When you go home, you take your mask off. When you go for work, take your mask off and get fresh air. But if you're around large numbers of people, put a mask on. If you're going to, because you may have the right to say you don't like wearing a mask, but you don't have a right to spread your germs on other people, potentially giving them something. If you want to go take a chance on this, then go ahead and take a damn chance.
Right. Right.
Okay, so when I go to the job, you got to wear the mask. Okay, if I want to keep employment, I want to keep feeding myself, I wear the goddamn mask. When I leave work, I can take the mask off when I'm not around a lot of people. The only time I wear my mask, Lions Den, is when I go to work And when I go into public places, and that's primarily to what? Buy food and services, right? Now,
Yeah.
when in California, there was a period of time when they did open up restaurants and let you eat inside, but you still had to wear a mask or, a little bit. So I think that the governor of Texas, he could still open Texas up to allow people to get their businesses functioning because people need to make money. The economy needs to be popping. I get it. But I think but I'm saying not letting people wear masks, you're asking for trouble because we're not out of this situation. Yeah, we got these vaccines, but there's people who don't want to take no vaccine. So therefore, yes.
I'm sorry to cut
you
off.
And plus, go ahead.
Yeah, and plus, they don't really even know if the vaccines even work. They're still sending vaccines. They even haven't been tested yet. And basically, and I agree with you on that. That if you want to take a mask off, take it off. But the thing of it is that you still got COVID. You still got the pandemic still going on.
Yeah. Well, let me correct something that you said though. They basically said that I think the vaccines were 95%. I think they're saying that this Johnson & Johnson vaccine that just came out is supposed to be good for even the variances. When you get the shot, it does not mean that you automatically are inoculated from the virus. It takes a while for it to work in your body, according to science, right? Now, does it work 100%? We don't know, because there's even rumor that they're saying that just because you get the shot doesn't mean that you're one and done. You might have to do you have to get this shot every year? Would you have to get the shot annually, every 3 months, every 6 months? We don't know, because no one's talking about that per se. So you're right. We don't know if it's 100% foolproof, whether it's only going to be good for the short term. We don't know if these variances are not going to be able to manipulate it and get past it. We don't know. We don't really know what's really going on, because they only tell us what they want us to know. We don't really know. So you're absolutely right, which is why Greg Abbott, as the governor of Texas, is making a foolish decision to tell people they don't have to wear a mask. I just think that if you go into a public place where there's lots of people, given the situation that we're in, you need to wear a mask. There's about a 500,000 people have died from this virus. Okay? 500,000 people. That's nothing.
My best friend.
Right. I know people where I work at, there's people that have gotten it. Matter of fact, where I work at, our work numbers have gone down because there were so many staff members who were out. So that's why when people talk all this stuff about, oh, it's not real, it's bullshit. If you know somebody that's got it, or if you're if you're at work and you're seeing your coworkers disappear, like boom, they're gone, they're not here anymore, they're on a quarantine, they can't come back to work. I get tested every week at work, and our workforce was our numbers were so bad, they were asking for other facilities if they could borrow people from other facilities, because our numbers were down, because people were out, either because they had COVID or because they were treating and helping a family member who had it too. So that's why I personally don't want to hear the conspiracy theories and this ain't real, it doesn't exist, and blah, blah, blah. The government wants to control us. They can control you all. They can control you if they want to. Let's see. If you got a social security number, they control you. If you're dependent on the banking system, they control you. If you're dependent on having to go to work and pay your bills and pay your taxes, they already control you. It's funny. I mean, you heard people saying that all throughout the summer. Oh, the government's going to bring in the new world order. It is already here. They already got you under control. And if you're all, and especially for those of you that are all excited about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is electronic currency, which means you won't get access to your money. You can only get access to currency through the electronic system. How do you get into that system? You need internet. If you cut the internet off, you can't get your money. If the power is out in the world, you can't get your money. You're already under control. They didn't have to create a virus, or they didn't have this. They didn't have to. A virus didn't have to be introduced to control you. They got all kind of other ways that they already control you. You're already, if you have to pay taxes every year, even though every 50 state in this union didn't ratify a portional tax, if you're paying taxes every year, if you got a social security number, all this stuff, if you got debit cards, they already got you under the control. So that's why I don't gravitate towards, well, the COVID virus is all about, yeah. And so, yeah, you can say that. And so is every damn thing else that we're under control by. What's the difference? And I know there's people out there that believe that, well, it's population control. Maybe it is. We know that in 1974, Henry Kissinger came out in there was an article that came out in which Henry Kissinger admitted that the United States government has engaged in population control when it comes to creating famines and shortage of food supplies in other countries. There's a whole article where Henry Kissinger talks about how we can manipulate other countries in the world by manipulating their food sources. So think about it. Think about it. They can control you in so many ways. We all need to eat, don't we? How many of us control food sources? Where do we get our food? Who controls the food? Let me see. Mic check, mic check. Corporations control the food sources in this country. Most of the farms are corporate farms. If they control the food, and then they can control what you eat. That's why you got GMOs. You got situations where you got fruits that you can't regrow something because they're taking the seeds out of them. Come on, folks. So we're already under control. This COVID is just one aspect that controls our life, because why? We can't go out and do the things that we used to do because the fear that we might catch it, or that the government says in your local government, you can't do this and that. I don't like it. You don't like it. We all don't like it. But there's a lot of things that the government restricts us from doing already. In California, I'm sure there's people in California that would love to be able to openly carry their guns, but we can't do it because the state law here says no open carry state. So I'm saying there's all forms of control, folks. All forms of control. Lions, did you have any other things you want to say before we end tonight?
Yeah, I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, you can check me out on Twitter at The Real Lions Den. You can check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/The Real Lions Den. You can also check me out on my Instagram at www.instagram.com/the_real_lions_den2. You can also check me out on my YouTube channel, which is Lions Den, aka Trey Axe. And also, you can check me out on my station head every Saturday at 11 a.m. Mountain, which is 1 p.m. Eastern.
That's
and
right.
Also, you can check me out on my my stereo, and I'm bringing info also on my stereo as well. So I'm everywhere. You can support me. You can support info, and I'm going to probably be on Haps every now and then as well, bringing you the news and commentary.
Right. Looks like my screen's going out on me. Well, I'm going to end the broadcast while the getting is good. We were able to get through this. We were able to get through the meat of the conversation that I really wanted to have with you yesterday in the beginning. Once again, as Mr. Goldman came in, he said, please be patient with the app. They will make improvements. And I certainly hope that those improvements will happen rapidly, because I do like this system and I do want to continue utilizing it to broadcast like this. So Lions Den, thank you. I know my screen is frozen. Thank you for being here, brother. I'm about to end the show. Everybody out there, thank you for being here. This is Information Man TV. We had some technical problems near the end. My special effects, all my green screen effects has been shut down. But we're still on. You can hear my voice right now. And in the beginning, things are going well, but this is fine. We got through what we wanted to get through. Lions Den, take care, my brother.
All right, take care, everybody. Take care, Info.
All right, take care, everybody. Peace. This is the Information Man TV. Peace, everybody.